What is up, everybody? It is your boy Who Flung here, bringing you another gameplay podcast. It's been a minute since we've done one of these, couple days, maybe a week at most. And as I was sitting here watching the opening day game of MLB, the Atlanta Braves opening day of the 2023 season, I thought, man, let's just stop doing this. Let's do a gameplay podcast. I've started watching the MLB season again because, as anybody that has ever watched any of my content knows, especially the live streams more than anything, y'all know that we are massive fans of baseball here at Who Flung Gaming. I'm a diehard Yankees fan, but I will wear Padres hats. I will wear a couple other teams just because I love baseball so much. I think it was a big hit last time when I did the notes for the podcast, just holding them up on my phone. I got a couple of ideas here jotted down, and it helped me stay on track because I have some of the worst scatterbrainness when it comes to this that you will see in quite a long time. So the first thing that I've got here on my list is, this is gonna be a very Call of Duty heavy episode of the gameplay podcast here. One of the things that I have here on my list is streamers ruining Call of Duty. I read an article and I cannot remember it. Let me know in the comments if you want me to find it, and I'll do my best to do that and link it down below. It was an article that came out that said streamers / content creators are ruining Call of Duty. And I read it and had a couple of, thoughts, ideas on it, that sort of stuff. And the gist of what it was getting at, I think, was that the massive amount of content and people releasing meta builds and things of that nature, of which I've done, I don't want to say meta builds, but I've done my personal builds, especially when it comes to the Riveteer shotgun. Hopefully I'm saying that right. Actually done on this map. But it's saying that creators coming out with meta builds and this, that, and the other is taken away from people being creative with their classes. In that you won't see, people using wildly outside of what is now considered meta or norm. You won't see them using, strange weapons, or I don't even know if strange weapons is the best way to describe it, but outside of the norm builds. So whatever the flavor of the month is, I don't subscribe to it personally because, I don't think whatever weapon system you're using in Call of Duty is gonna automatically make you a better player. You have to be a halfway decent player to begin with. So, I don't subscribe to these. I come out with my own builds and things of that nature that I enjoy based on my play style and things that I want to see if they work. But that was the gist of the articles, and it wasn't just limited to multiplayer, which is what I play. I don't play Warzone typically. It was across the broad spectrum, and I found it interesting. From an outsider's perspective, that this was an issue that some people thought that they were facing, enough so to write an article about it. It's not that I, constantly browse gaming articles. It's just what popped up in my Google feed, I think, at the time. And I paid a little bit of attention to it and found it a halfway decent read from somebody that has wondered that a little bit. I don't do the flashy thumbnails and stuff like that, but I do my personal builds and what works for me, and occasionally will release content based on those, whether it's long form or YouTube shorts. So I found that quite interesting to read. The first time that idea sort of popped into my head was when I read an article when it was last year's Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2, and it was shipment 24/7 was almost constantly in rotation, and I think towards the latter half of that game's life cycle, if you will, Shipment 24/7 was a standard map option, and there was a series of like articles, you know, from all over the place saying that Shipment was ruining Call of Duty, you know, this, that, and the other, and I sort of related to that one a little bit because Shipment is all I found myself playing. You know, I didn't get to experience, if you will, the wider game as much as maybe somebody should, because I was just constantly playing Shipment. Anyways, I sort of fixed that, shall we will. You know, I like the way that they're doing it in this iteration of Call of Duty, in that you know, the 24/7 game mode so far, at least this season, has changed every like 7 to 10 days, whatever the cycle is. Let me know in the comments what it officially is. It's been changing, so it's been a large group of my favorite maps that I've liked so far, and they've been on 24/7 rotations, you know, for a week or so, and then it swaps, and it keeps you wanting to come back for more, shall you say. And I've enjoyed it. Anyways, topic number 2 is changes to Call of Duty. The only real one that I have to talk about is one that I want to say we mentioned in an earlier episode of the podcast, in either changes that we wanted to see or problems with the games, things that he didn't like. And it's one that they have finally listened to the community, and I'm glad that they did it early on, is that the reload animation, right? So what used to happen when you respawned every life cycle is you would face a reload animation, and I'm pretty sure I just killed a teammate there, by the way, to jump in on the content, because we got EMP'd, and I'm not entirely sure that these are bad guys. So that's the side effect of the EMP. But is the reload animation, when you came in on a new life cycle, you used to, in your weapon system, you would cycle around into the chamber. And especially in hardcore game modes, which is what I tend to play, usually whatever on the 24/7 rotation, but every now and then I'll jump into just regular domination lobbies, or sorry, not regular domination lobbies, but the hardcore domination cycle, and I'll play whatever, you know, pops up there just to mix it up a little bit. But the reload, or the cycling of a weapon or chamber into the, wow, let me start all that again. The chambering of a round, right, after you respawn, especially on hardcore mode, was quite often detrimental on the close quarters maps. So if you're playing Shipment, or you're getting stuck in sort of a spawn trap on meat or something like that, like my teammate just took care of a remote turret that had been placed down. If you're getting stuck in those areas, then it's tough to get your rhythm back and not die, you know, 5 or 6 times, because every time you're popping up, you're having to chamber around. So massive shout out to them for listening to the community on this one and getting that fixed to where it doesn't happen, because that would drive me nuts. You know, I was having to come up with creative ways to kind of get around that. You know, like swap weapons real quick, or pull a grenade, or do something like to try and break the animation, and that was still costing valuable seconds, which would, you know, more often than not result in a, you know, a death that could possibly have been avoided. I'm not saying I'd have avoided all of them, but certainly, you know, the respawn and chambering of a round was not a fan favorite. We'll put it that way. Not good. So I am glad that they have edited that out. You know, that's the only real change that I've paid attention to so far. I'm going to go back and read the change notes again, just to see if there's anything else worth mentioning. But I'll come back with another one if there's something else that I like in that. But you know, that's my thank you Call of Duty moment for fixing that. Okay. Do a little bit of GTA news. We've got about a minute and a half left on this. roughly, give or take. We're coming out with a couple more GTA episodes. As of the recording of this, I'm currently sitting in the queue to get into the NoPixel server. I've had a lot of fun doing that. Hopefully y'all have enjoyed the episodes coming out from that. We got about 2 hours of game time at some point last week, and that allowed us to record a couple episodes, which I'm ever so grateful for. So those are coming out, and by the time you see this one, most of that will have probably dropped, and hopefully you're enjoying it. And house hunting update, where it's out of our hands at this point. It's in the hands of the banks, you know, securing financing and all that sort of stuff. Got to do the appraisal. The inspection went just fine. The inspector said the house was fantastic. Couldn't be in better shape, really, for a house that's only about 20 years old. Looking forward to that. So it's just financing at this point, getting that all squared away. Just got a couple of, you know, loops to jump through, if that's the phrase that I'm looking for, you know, hoops to jump through, hoops, loops, whatever. Not entirely sure. Anyways, guys, hopefully y'all enjoyed it. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. We'll catch you in the next one. Let's watch this kill cam together. The dude doing tactical aim. There you go.